fitness? How is, obviously Jack's injured, but how's the rest of the squad looking?
Yeah, pretty good. We've come through with not too many significant injuries. Dave Ewer, as you probably saw, anyone saw on TV, picked up a bang on his shoulder.
Yeah.
We won't really know exactly what the issue is there until we get some scan results. And that will obviously determine his fitness over the coming days and weeks.
Do you think it's a long shot for Dave to make the game on the weekend?
Potentially, yeah. But like I say, until we get absolute concrete, it's a little bit like anything. You know, there are some bumps and bruises that you can't do a lot of damage to, and there are other things that you can damage if you kind of play them on top of an injury. So right at this stage, we're just waiting on the results of the scans today, and that will determine everything for the weekend.
Obviously, a rare event of the weekend, which was a defeat for your team in the league. What have you learned from that defeat at Quins?
Well, basically that most of the time what we do is pretty successful, and if we deviate from that, we give the opposition opportunities to kind of hurt us, and that's very much what happened. On top of that, you've got to say fair play to Harlequins for probably at least 2 of their tries. You know, 2 tries were created with putting the ball through on the floor, kicking the ball through on the floor into space, and were well finished off. You know, that is something that we discussed before on our defensive setup, and we didn't cover it as well as we could have covered. You know, we didn't fill that space probably as well as we could have done. But at the same time, there were a couple of good moments of skill from Harlequins, so you've got to take your hat off for that. The other couple of tries we probably feel were a bit more in our hands, really. Yeah. We gave up field position twice through errors, and then the field position led to 2 set-piece tries, really. One of which we didn't defend at all how we would normally defend, and the other one we made an individual error. So those kind of things are a little bit frustrating, but I think the thing we probably looked at more than anything else is what created so many moments of opportunity for Harlequins, because some of them came from pure things like handling errors, having the ball stripped out of our hands, kick errors, organisational mistakes. You know, some of those things they're a little frustrating, but at the same time they're not things that are completely not understandable, because Harlequins played well on the night. I think if I'm honest with you, I think these 2 games coming up against Gloucester are a little bit at the front of our minds. We had our international players return that week.
Yeah. And you rested all
we rested all of them. You know, there were things going on during that week that have probably ended up being little distractions for us, and have ended up kind of hurting us a little bit. But at the same time, we've got 4 tries, we've been away from home, we've got 2 points. You know, there's an awful lot of teams in the Premiership we're really pleased with picking up 11 points from 3 games, with 2 of them away from home, and that's what we've done. And we're not just looking at the negatives, we've also talked about the positives of the 3 weeks. The fact that we've managed to rest a significant group of players over the course of that time, including international players. Many other Premiership clubs haven't been able to do that. We've picked up a good amount of points, and guys like Marcus Street and Billy Keast and Tom Lauday, and you look at the involvement, Tom O'Flaherty, you look at the involvement of some of the players we've involved in the last few weeks, and we've got a good, strong group of players with good game time.
Fantastic. And if we move on to Gloucester now, you know, it's a very rare thing. We covered it before the game 2 weeks ago now, I suppose, or to have 3 games against the same team in 4 weeks. What do you feel that you learned from that first game against Gloucester? Because the scoreboard suggested it was a comfortable win, but watching the game, it wasn't necessarily as comfortable as perhaps the scoreboard would have suggested, I would argue.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. I think if you look at where our points came from, they came in quite a rare way for us, in a way. You know, we don't, you know, an interception try is a rarity in most games anyway, and one of our scores came from an interception try. Other try came from a very well placed crossfield kick, and some great work from Santi that created some space. But that came also from we were able to do that because we had a dominant scrum and got a penalty advantage that we were able to play off. Those 2 kind of scores are quite rare for us. You know, we tend to go through phase play and create long periods of pressure, and we either get field position and drive over, or you know, we break through eventually. So we're very aware that although the scoreline, as you say, kind of looked fairly large at the end, that the nature of our scores came in a different way, and it came from a continuing amount of largely defensive pressure that A, kept Gloucester very quiet on the scoreboard, but B, also created the situation where they felt they had to play and then they erred when they were trying to play. So those things we've certainly taken on board, and we're very aware that that's the kind of pressure we have to create again. I think the Heineken Cup is is probably known for that. It's the teams that can create the longest periods of pressure and maintain that over periods that actually tend to win. I think the Munster game here was another perfect example. When we had moments and periods of pressure, we came out and through on top, and when Munster got them, they came through on top, and it ended up being a nail-biting draw based on two teams going hammer and tongs. And there wasn't stacks of strides in that game or stacks of scores, but it was a huge pressure game, and we've got to be prepared to create that kind of pressure again this weekend.
Is this a must-win game with regards to you progressing to the latter stages of this tournament?
Well, on paper, no, because you can qualify with 18 points, and there's still going to be 15 points on the table after this game. On anything other than paper, it's obviously it's pretty much a must-win game, because apart from the fact that after this we've still got to go away to Gloucester and we've still got to go away to Munster, the points on the table for people in the rest of the group would also become a real challenge for us. So I think the truth of it is, we're standing here now pretty much preparing like it being a must-win game. But that if we talk about being a good team and we talk about a group of players who want to be in big games, we've got to expect and we've got to hope and we've got to want that to bring the absolute best of us.